Matters enshrined in MA 63 can be resolved. And educational autonomy drives Sarawak competitiveness. PM announces 1 billion ringgit to upgrade Sarawak and Sabah border. Bringing you the eye on the news tonight, you're now with me, Shalshamato, and this is TVS Nightline. Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patigi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunapeng said the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or MA63 Implementation Action Council meeting will be tailored towards the phase of the implementation rather than merely discussions of the demands. As such, Abang Johari expressed his gratitude towards Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, which has brought a positive impact in efforts to resolve issues as enshrined in MA63.
Ini bukan perbincangan, pelaksanaan. Ini adalah satu approach yang lain daripada yang lain. Kerana perkara itu sudah termaktub, hanya kita laksanakan saja. Dan kalau ada masalah teknikal sedikit, yang itu boleh kita selesaikan.
Abang Johari said this at a press conference after attending the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or MA63 Implementation Action Council meeting chaired by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Friday. Commenting further, he also added that the decision made by the federal government to give autonomy to Sabah and Sarawak to approve projects worth 50 million ringgit is crucial.
Kalau prosesnya begitu baik sekali, dikatakan silingnya boleh dinaikkan. Tapi yang penting adalah integriti dalam kita melaksanakan projek-projek tersebut di bawah satu procurement procedure yang harus kita patuhi.
Sarawak's action to demand autonomy for education is one step right in the direction of a developed status by 2030. Former Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Parliament and Law, Dr. Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said, with the autonomy, Sarawak will be able to establish departments related to the market demands in the state, namely hydrogen technology and new renewable energy.
Memang setuju sangat. So that kita boleh trajectory kita, pendidikan kita boleh kita pilih sendiri. Apa yang kita state kehendak. Sekarang kehendak state ialah untuk memajukan soalan teknologi digital. Soalan hydrogen power. Soalan green technology, renewable energy, semua benda-benda tu. Jadi berkemungkinan kita punya manpower requirement tu sangat tinggi di jurusan ini. Kita tak mampu nak ambil orang daripada luar saja. Anak-anak buah kita sendiri, anak negara kita sendiri, termasuk orang daripada Semenanjung. Nak masuk ke dalam jurusan ini, tapi jurusan tak ada selain daripada universiti di luar negara. Yang mungkin mahal untuk siap. Jadi dia akan akhirnya orang kaya saja yang boleh, orang miskin tak boleh. Orang sederhana tak boleh, orang sederhana tak boleh.
Wan Junaidi commented further that developing countries such as Germany, Hungary, China, Japan and Korea have moved forward to the current need of the industry.
Benda ni. Jadi kita boleh ambil jalan tengah supaya yang pertama kita menjurus kepada untuk mengisikan keperluan industri kerana kita perlu membangun dengan cepat. Kita tidak boleh ikut jejak langkah dahulu, industrial revolution, agricultural revolution dan revolution ini. Revolution sekarang, digital revolution dengan teknologi revolution tu dekat dan cepat. Dan dia dapat membangun. Jadi pendidikan kita kena selari ke arah yang sama. Jadi saya setuju sangat apa yang Sarawak buat supaya kita mengisi keperluan industri-industri yang Sarawak kehendaki ini. Begitu juga di Sabah.
He said this on TVS Dialogue Talk program on Friday.
The Ministry of Finance has given preliminary approval for an additional 1 billion ringgit in allocation for the commencement of upgrading work to the infrastructure and increasing the capability of the Customs, Immigration, Quarantine and Security Complex at Sarawak and Sabah borders. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who is also the Finance Minister, said the approval was given following his recent discussion with Indonesia's President Joko Widodo regarding the relocation of Indonesia's capital to Nusantara, Kalimantan, which shares a border with the two Malaysian regions.
Maka kita telah putuskan untuk memberi peruntukan tambahan bagi penyediaan custom, CIQ, sempadan dari segi keselamatan dan meningkatkan upaya kedua-duanya. Custom, CIQ dan immigration, CIQ sebenarnya, dan keselamatan, polis dan tentera, dan ketiganya prasarana asas seperti jalan raya. Kita tidak patut dilihat terlalu taif.
He said this at a press conference after chairing the Malaysian Agreement 1963 MA63 Implementation Action Council meeting on Friday.
Similarly, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim also said the federal government agreed to increase the special grant to Sarawak as provided for in Article 112D of the Federal Constitution. He said the amount is only for the initial stage before a specific formula will be finalised. For starters, he revealed that the Finance Ministry would raise the amount to 300 million ringgit for Sarawak, while Sabah would receive 260 million ringgit.
The Prime Minister said the provision of the grant was decided by previous leaders who saw Sabah and Sarawak as lagging behind the peninsula during the formation of Malaysia.
Tapi peringkat awal ini kita beri sekitar dari 16 juta itu naik sekitar 300 juta ringgit, sebagai suatu sumbangan, tetapi ini tertakluk kepada formula tetapkan. Apa kebijaksanaan formula? Mana jangan kita terikat dengan 300 juta itu. 300 juta itu kerana kedudukan kewangan yang terbatas dan harus diperinci, terus saya sebut dicerakin supaya formula itu boleh diterima pakai.
Meanwhile, Anwar also announced the appointment of Sarawak Financial Secretary Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Lizosman Wan Omar as a member of the Inland Revenue Board's IRB Board of Directors effective today.
Maka saya telah melantik Setiausaha Kewangan Sarawak berkuat kuasa hari ini sebagai ahli lembaga hasil dalam negeri. Ini satu lembaga yang sangat penting dan syaratnya profesionalisme, pengalaman dan tentunya Setiausaha Kewangan Sarawak itu punya kelayakan kedua-dua pertimbangan tersebut dan ini akan membantu lembaga hasil dalam negeri.
At the same time, the Prime Minister also announced that bonuses paid out to civil servants in all states would be exempted from tax. Currently, all bonuses paid out to the state governments are taxable. He revealed that this applies to all civil servants nationwide.
Sarawak is steadily moving in the right direction in a positive manner, as the federal government under the leadership of the Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is serious about returning what is rightfully for Sarawak. As such, political science professor, University Putra Malaysia UPM, shares his thoughts on the matter.
It looks that our MA 63 is gaining ground in terms of what federal leadership under Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is willing to return, to us based on this agreement, the same basis. So I think this is a very welcome direction that Sarawak and the peninsula is moving forward under this unity government. I think Sarawak and Sabah, as well as the whole of Malaysia, is moving in the right direction, moving in a positive manner to strengthen our economy, to bring a greater unity among our people, because when everybody shares in the benefit of economic growth, prosperity of the country, we become united. We become committed to that single goal of making Malaysia greater again.
Among all the agreements set, according to Jayum, the appointment of Sarawak State Financial Secretary into the Inland Revenue Board, IRB, was a positive step into the dynamics of the unity government.
So I think in a number of developments since he has become Prime Minister, the most recent that we have heard is the Sarawak State Financial Secretary is now appointed as member of the lembaga hasil dalam negeri. This is a good thing, so that state is aware how much money we are making as a nation, how much we are contributing as a region to the national income. So that is easier for federal government and Sarawak regional government to sit down together and review grants and special grants that needs to be given to Sarawak as well as Sabah, so that both parties or all parties will be talking from the same basis.
In addition, Jayum also welcomes Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim's new and positive approach, as only impactful leaders can do the right thing for the benefit of the people. The unity government, led by Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Friday, promised to resolve issues relating to the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or MA63 immediately. However, according to Senior Lecturer of Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities of University Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM, Dr. Amar Reza, he stressed that there should be an impact on the people within the change. This is in relation to the transfer of power or authorization and related issues of Sabah and Sarawak.
For me, I believe that the situation, if we talk about the MA63 and several lists of demand that currently being pursued by the Sarawak State's government, in consideration with the current Prime Minister, the 10th Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim tenure, of course there will be some issues that going to be resolved, especially when in his cabinet that we have Deputy Prime Minister from the Sarawak, and then this will be a huge changes. I mean, in terms of the dynamic, in terms of the climate, and we're talking about with the presence of a very senior minister in the federal government. There's going to be a lot of discussion. There's going to be a lot of dialogue, discourse, because the issues now is not only about moving the power from the federal government to the state's government, but the issue is about making sure that it is recorded and it is being minutes into the our federal constitution, because if there is no amendments made in the constitution, then these things could be just a temporary action or temporary measure instead of a much more permanent situation. But again, I believe that it is more dynamic. It requires a lot of cooperation, not only from the Prime Minister, but also from the Member of Parliament involved. And we're talking about making sure that whatever the discussion made about the MA63, it's not only about making sure that the transcendence of power or the cascading of power from the federal to the state, but it's also about making sure that the power or whatever special that being given to the state government is going to benefit the people of Sarawak, for instance. Because if not, then we are making what we call as unimpactful changes. We want to make sure that any changes, especially including related to the MA63, is a changes that going to be benefited, that the people can enjoy it. And if the people doesn't feeling anything from the changes, then it just be what we call that as I mentioned before, an impactful actions, and which is something that we will try as much to avoid.
Dr. Amar also commented that with a stable political climate, Malaysia will be more focused on vital issues such as social and economic issues in the Federation.
And a few other things. And recently, I think we already heard from the news that there is a representative from Sarawak in the Internal Revenue Board, the LHDN, Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri. So I believe that there is a lot more power that going to be given to the Sarawak as a region, and of course it's a good thing for the Sarawak states and its people itself. However, it's going for me the other things that we have to be considered is the relationship between the federal and the state as well as the region government, and with a lot of more power being given, or more power being meanings that being transcended down towards the state government and the regional government, we can see there will be much more tighter and stronger relationship. And it is good, not only for the local political climate as well as the whole federation, Malaysia political climate. And by having a good political and stable political climate, and we will be able to focus more on essential issue such as on the social part, on the economic part, which I believe that it is more important in the current situation.
Indonesia has expressed its desire to establish close cooperation between the East and West Kalimantan, with the main cities in Sarawak. Raden Sigit Wijaksono, Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia in Kuching, said the cooperation will include transport, business and higher education. He said closer cooperation between Sarawak and Indonesia is very important to ensure the economic growth of both areas, as there is a need for it in terms of transport and better relations between Kalimantan and Sarawak. He told reporters here today after conducting a working visit to the Cebu Central Prison and holding a meeting with the farm workers in Cebu. At the same time, which Jaksono said during his visit to Cebu last year, he visited the Cebu Municipal Council MPS, Cebu Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry SCCCI, and Sarawak University of Technology UTS. He is looking into collaboration with UTS because there are many potential students in Kalimantan, as currently there are many students from West Kalimantan studying at higher education institutions such as University Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS, and Swinburne University in Kuching. Coming up right after the break, Malaysia's inflation eases to 3.8% in December 2022, and Spring Festival activities put up across China. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Welcome back to the Nightline. Malaysia's daily COVID-19 cases remain below 500 even after China reopened its border on January 8. According to Health Minister Dr. Zarifah Mustafa, the country has been recording three-digit daily cases since December 17, 2022.
She further added that a total of 28,705 travelers from China arrived in the country between January 8 to 17, and so far, only one of the travelers was found to be with a fever during screening. Meanwhile, Dr. Zaliha said there has been an increase in the uptake of the second booster dose at health facilities across the country of the past 2 weeks, as it increased by 2.2% or 733,668 doses compared to 1.9% or 633,941 doses previously. The Ministry of Health will continue to monitor the development of infection in the country and abroad through information acquired from the World Health Organization (WHO), as well as cooperation with other ASEAN countries and China.
And Malaysia's inflation eased to 3.8% in December 22 as compared to 4.0% in November the same year. Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) said that for 2022, overall inflation increased to 3.3% as compared to 2.5% recorded in 2021.
Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said during the last month of 2022, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, stood at 129.2 against 124.5 in the same month of the preceding year. On a quarterly basis, inflation increased by 0.6% as compared to the third quarter of 2022. Monthly headline inflation in December 2022 also increased moderately to 0.2% as compared to 0.3% in November 2022, mainly driven by the restaurants and hotels 0.7% and food and non-alcoholic beverages 0.5%. He said the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the food prices increase continue to contribute to the increase in inflation this year. 4 states recorded increases above the national inflation level of 3.8%, namely the Federal Territory of Putrajaya 7.9%, Selangor 4.5%, Sarawak 4.1%, and Johor 3.9%. Meanwhile, the inflation for the income group below 3,000 ringgit increased 3.6% from 125.3 in December 2021 to 129.8 in December 2022. Uzair said core inflation, which measures changes in the prices of all goods and services without taking into account the volatile prices of fresh food, as well as administered prices of goods by the government, registered an increase of 4.1% in December 2022 as compared to the same month of the previous year. In comparison to countries in the Asia-Pacific region, the inflation rate in Malaysia of 3.8% was lower than the Philippines, 8.1%, Thailand 5.9%, Indonesia 5.5%, and South Korea 5%.
Thank you for staying with me. With the Year of the Rabbit coming in 2 days, festive atmosphere is getting thicker as various celebrations are staged across China. This year's Spring Festival, or the Chinese Lunar New Year, falls on January 22. In Yutong County of Lanzhou, in northwest China's Gansu province, a lantern show immerses visitors in traditional culture, space program and flower garden with modern technological means. Now let's take a look. With various flower-shaped and animal-shaped lanterns, the dazzling lights fascinates the visitors. Spectacular light shows are also put up at the Mulan Everbright City in Wuhan of central China's Hubei province, which blends modernity and tradition, attracting visitors ahead of the Spring Festival. A lantern show in Liangping district of Chongqing in the southwest is coupled with fireworks performance to celebrate the upcoming Chinese Lunar New Year. At the Yuntai Mountain scenic spot in Jiaozuo city of central China's Henan province, more than 6,000 lanterns make up a lantern alley where various folk art performances are presented. The Spring Festival is China's grandest traditional festival when people across the country return to their hometowns for celebrations and family reunions. Travelers packed the Beijing West railway station on Friday as hundreds of millions of people are traveling home for the Chinese New Year celebration. The holiday, also known as the Spring Festival, officially starts on Saturday, January 21st, and was known before the pandemic as the world's largest annual migration of people. University Professor Yu told the media he found it relatively easy to purchase train tickets as he was looking forward to returning home for the first time in 3 years.
大概有3年没有回家了，对。那么今年放开之后啊，这是3年之后第一次回家，然后票的话还是比较好买的，大概初6、初7在家待1个星期左右，然后就回来，因为要上班嘛。
The same with Li, a 30-year-old professional in the service industry, when met by the media.
在放开以后呢，也就是大家都就是回家心切，然后都是，毕竟也那么久都没见家里人了嘛，然后所以我们就想着就很快就抓紧回家可以见父母、见亲戚，然后尽快团圆吧。
China has said the worst was over in its battle against COVID-19, but the mass movement of people has fed fears of a further surge in infections. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. More headlines anytime at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Shel Chamato and have a good Chinese New Year celebration ahead.